been told I had a loud mouth, so, all right. My name's Dewayne Hall. I have Red Feather Farms, and we are actually building a sustainable farm. And my goal in life is to teach people how to be more self-sufficient and more sustainable. A little bit of my background, I was raised in Texas. We had a farm. My granddad had a farm. From the time I was about this big, I was his shadow. I did my best to learn everything I could from him. Probably the thing that he taught me the most was that the best investment you'll ever make is in yourself. Learn everything you can learn from anyone you can learn from. Okay? And so I've done that. As I moved through my life, I became a school teacher. I taught agriculture, math, and science. I taught that for a while until Ross Perot, how many of y'all know who Ross Perot is? Okay. Until he got involved in the education system in Texas. Now, Ross Perot has passed on by now. And I'll tell you, I have to honor the man. He was a very smart businessman, but he had no business in education, because he thought everything had to be computers. That was the future. Everything ran on computers. And of course, I'm teaching agriculture and science, and that didn't exactly fit. Okay, a computer. Last time Star Trek's not here. They got those things, replicators. Okay, but you can't type it into a computer and all of a sudden it prints out a hamburger. Okay, that didn't work. So I was looking at something to do. I moved into the financial planning business. I owned a financial planning company for 25 years. I wore the wingtip shoes, three-piece suits, the tie, the Mont Blanc pen, that kind of thing. And you start going through things in life, and you decide, what am I doing? And I'm going to paraphrase this, but Ralph Waldo Emerson said that a man cannot consistently perform in a way which is inconsistent with that which is within. And I found right quick that I needed to be who I needed to be. And I needed to go back to my roots. And so I started making that move back that way. I also learned a lot of things in college and in the agricultural field that bothered me. I'm going to teach a class at 1 o'clock on natural medicines or homesteading medicines. Okay? I don't like all the chemicals that we use today. That's one of the reasons I'm going to teach you about composting, rainwater collection, those type of things. Okay? I'm not an authority on this. This is just information that I have gleaned over the years. But what I will tell you is I live it. Okay? We do rainwater collection. Okay? We bought a 20-acre farm that had been abandoned for 10 years. We went in to clean it up. I still got lots to do. Lots to do. Okay? My wife probably thought I was ready to go to the loony bin again. And that I moved her out in a travel trailer on this acreage in the middle of nowhere. One second. The thing I want everybody else to do, I did not do myself. That's turn the thing. So we lived there for a while. There's a home on it. We're redoing it. We moved in a travel trailer. We moved in a trailer house. When we did that, I took the toilets out. Okay. Now, how many of you, especially you ladies, guys, we can kind of get by. How many of you ladies would have been happy if your husband walked in one day and says, "We're taking the toilets out of the house"? You? Okay. I did. Okay. And we have had several generations as I'm going up to it. Matter of fact, this is probably version 4. And I still have some adjustments I'm going to do to this. This was my first composting toilet. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that one. That was when I was working on the farm. I needed a place to go. You know, I didn't want to see a little white paper here and there, everywhere. So I made something to do that. We compost. On the farm, we raise, right now I cut back. I got 30 some odd head of meat goats, high commercial end meat goats. I used to keep 80 to 100 chickens. Okay. I've got 1,000, as of right now, about 1,000 elderberry orchard. We're going to probably double that this next year. I do natural medicine. Of course, we raise vegetables, all that kind of stuff. I'm really getting into the bees. I've been shadowing this man right here for 3 years, learning. And so this year I'll be pulling in some of my own hives, but I've been helping kids along. So everything I can do to try to rebuild what civilization has been tearing down, in my opinion. Okay? So that's why I want to talk to you today about rainwater collection and composting. We're going to talk about human manure, but I'm also going to talk to you about if you just want to compost for your garden. Okay? You want to take your table scraps from your kitchen and you want to be able to compost those. It's the same principle. Composting is composting. Okay? And we're going to talk about rainwater collection. I'll just tell you the first thing right off the bat, the biggest mistake I see in rainwater collection is people do not put a large enough container to catch. They go buy a 55-gallon drum and think, woohoo, man, I'm going to have a lot of water. Okay? They also don't understand the sheer amount of water 1 inch of rain will produce. Also how much it takes to water even your flower beds. Okay? So we're going to talk about sizing things up, doing some calculations for yourself. Okay? Some publications. When I owned the financial planning company, I had to get some semblance of reality back in my head. Okay? And of course I was on the phone 24/7, things like talking to people, clients calling, you know, markets up, markets down, this is that, you know, what do I do, you know? And I also got a little tired of the taste of kale pectin. Okay? Settled my nerves and my stomach. That's one reason I got out too. So when I would go away, some people go play golf. Okay? I tried that. Okay? And I mean, it took my frustrations out on the little white ball. That was nice after a while, but I finally decided the best therapy I had was backpacking. Not hiking, actual backpacking. I would be gone 2 weeks with nothing but what was on my page. And I learned a lot. My cell phone didn't work. That was a great thing. So in hiking on the Appalachian Trail, has anybody ever been on it? Okay? You know what I'm talking about. You go to the shelters, and there's all types of different privies, outhouses. Okay? You get on further north up there, up in close to the top end of Virginia, and they have what they call moldering privies. Okay? And I went back and got all the, I talked to the guys that had actually built them and put them in. How many of you guys have ever used an outhouse? Don't you love the aroma? Oh, they smell good, right? I mean, I remember growing up, and I'd go to, you know, one of my great uncles or my grandparents or whatever, and they'd have the outhouse, okay? And the aroma, especially about August, was just wonderful, okay? It didn't take you long to do your business. You got in, you got out, okay? And then the next thing is you come in the wintertime and you literally freeze your butt off, okay? Well, when hiking the AT, I saw these moldering privies, and I got to noticing this. They didn't have a smell, okay? What they were doing is they were composting in that privy. So I got all the information I could because I did some trail maintenance on some trails that's local around here, and we talked about building these along the way. Okay? Because one of the things I hate to do is I hate to go out on a hiking trail and I see a little white here, a little white there, a little white. That's where somebody went to use the restroom and they just left their toilet paper out there. They didn't dig a cat hole. You know, and that, to me, that's very unpopular. I just don't like it. Okay? So I made notes of those things. And we started. So let's go back to, and I'm going to start in on the human manure side. That's going to lead you into the composting. Okay? And the reason I do that, the reason I do rainwater collection, 27% of the water usage that you have down in Florida. Okay? Now, I also told you I spent 25 years in the financial planning business, right? And people look at what's of value. The next goal, or it's not even the next, it already is. Gold, silver, whatever you want to talk about, the biggest investment out there. You may take a guess what they want to control? Water. Texas is trying to steal all the water Oklahoma's got. Okay? Why? Because they have grown up their big cities and they don't have enough water. Well, they have plenty of water. They're just being very wasteful about it. Okay? Another little thing, if you want things to change, you know how you make things change? You change it yourself. So whatever you want to change, you be the change, and then that will start from there. So we're going to have to quit being so wasteful. Okay? So we got to look at where's this water going? If you have a typical sewage system, okay, we'll take a city for example. You flush the, you don't think anything about it. You flush the toilet, it goes down the toilet. It's not my problem anymore. And it really is our problem. Because it's going to go through a line, it's going to go to some lagoon somewhere, and what are they going to do with that afterwards? Okay? Well, at least we do have some cities now that are pumping those after they have processed for a while. They're taking that liquid and pumping it back on hay meadows, fields, things of that nature, and using it as fertilizer, and that's being able to use a resource. We know in the state of Oklahoma, because we're so close to Arkansas, that chicken litter is a huge problem, right? Getting into the water supplies, having to watch that, and we have to manage anything we do, okay? We can't just say it's not my problem anymore, because sooner or later it will be a problem, and it will be a huge problem when we do that. Well, human manure is a huge resource that we are putting into the ground, hoping it will disperse, and what it actually does is it sets up a toxic environment in the ground. Whereas if we kept it above ground, processed it correctly, it would become a valuable resource to us. So, in doing that, you have several systems. One's called a wet system. Essentially, that's where you pee and poop in the same bucket. Okay? A lot of people use that. I tried it. I didn't like it. Because guess who has to trade the bucket out? Me. When you mix urine and poop together, after about 3 days, they start to smell. Okay? So I said, this system's not working. I need to find something else. So I went to doing more research, and I came across this gentleman in this book. If you want to learn anything about how to be able to process, how to have a composting toilet or whatever, I suggest you get this book. Okay? This guy is the authority on it, has been for years. And there's even some municipalities that, oh, you can't have a composting toilet. He will give you a book to carry to their people and say, disprove it. That it is it's done properly. So I got to reading in his book, and he's got wet systems, dry systems. You know, you go to some of the state parks, they got the latrine sitting over there, and again, it's just like Grandma's house, it smells. Okay? So I went to looking, and in the United States, this is just now beginning to catch on. You go to Europe, Australia, they're way ahead of this curve. They're way ahead of the curve on permaculture. So I went to looking to find what we could do. You have to get what's called a urine diverter. Okay? And I can't find them. They're not made in the United States. Okay? So the first one that I got looked like this. And essentially how this works, you get a little setup, the bucket fits down in it, this goes in here, it's attached, and when you sit down, the pee goes in here, and the poopy goes in here. Okay? Sounds real easy, right? Well, with no instructions, you got to find out where to put this in that bucket. Okay? I had to do the research. Men and women Okay, guys, you don't stand up and use this system. You got to sit down. But it's easy for a guy. I had to figure out where to put this thing. When my wife sat down, or any other female got there, as to where this needed to be. Okay? That took a little bit of calculation. And this was good. This is all I could get at the time. But there was a company that was in England. I really loved their design. Really loved it. Okay? All one unit, easy to clean, nice looking, but they were going bankrupt. What am I going to do? I tried to order them. They wouldn't send me any. We're not doing any business. We don't even ship to the United States. Well, I kept track of them, and another company called Kildwick out of Germany bought them. I contacted them right up. They wasn't even producing yet. I said, I want some. Okay? I want to be the first person in the United States to get it. And when they produced the first ones, I got them. That's what you see, and later on you can come around and look at it a little more closely. But that's an all-in-one system. Where in the first system, you want this to separate. What I've done is I fixed the thing that this sets down into. This hose goes down into my existing sewer system. Okay? Now most of these are sold around Germany, Europe. They're sold to RVers. And they're a self-contained unit. They have a little bucket on the bottom that catches all of it, and then they take it and pour it out wherever they need to. But I'm fixing this on my homestead system. Okay? Because how many of you guys have seen cattle on the field? You can look out here, and every so often you see these green spots, right? And everybody goes, oh, that's where a cow pooped. You wouldn't where a cow pooped. That's where they peed. Okay? Urine is extremely, extremely high in nitrogen. Okay? It's called liquid gold. It's a wonderful fertilizer. Okay? You need to put nitrogen on something, that's a great place to put it. Okay? So I have a system now that we're using that to put on my hay meadows. My next system is going to have a separator system in it, and then I can use it to irrigate my orchards. I can use it to irrigate my fields, whatever I want to do with it. Okay? But I am reusing a resource. Okay? Now let's get to the poop part of it. You just don't poop straight in a bucket. You put some sawdust on it. It's best if you can get oak sawdust, okay? Because your pines tend to have some resins in it that don't break down quite as fast. And when you get through, you just, with your business, you just take a little bit, sprinkle a little bit more. You can walk in my house, zero smell. In the first system I used, the one bucket system, it would last me about 3 days and I'd have to take this bucket out. Okay? Right now it's about a week with 2 people and occasional visitors that I have to go out and change this. Okay? So it cut my labor down a lot, and I like that. Okay? I was also getting more on my fields at the time. What I do is I save it in these are 4-gallon square buckets. I found 4 gallons works the best. 5 gallons, too tall. Okay? You have to get a high chair to get up on the toilet. Okay? And if you're short-legged, this may be a little tall. Okay? But what you can also do, how many people have seen the little steps that you're supposed to put in front of your toilet? Right? Okay. Because actually is the best way to clean your system out. Okay? That's why Americans have so much leftover crap in their system. Okay? So, at my house there's a little schooling system. Okay? People go, you got kids? I go, no, kids. That's for the adults to use. Okay? Now, when you do separate the two, you have an issue. When you compost, and this is all composting, there's a rule that you need so many units of carbon carbon to so many units of nitrogen. If you don't have enough nitrogen to the carbon, it just kind of, okay. A 20 to 1 carbon to nitrogen, as much as 40 to 1. Sweet spots around 33 to 1. Now, you know, I'm not out there with my little scientific experiment that I got at Kmart, you know, and measuring how much carbon to nitrogen I've got. Okay? But, again, great resource. In this book, he will tell you how much carbon different things have. Human manure, how much carbon it has, how much nitrogen, sawdust, and you can kind of do your calculations. Now, I told you we have about 80 chickens at the place. I clean my chicken pen out. You know, chicken poop is extremely high in nitrogen. I always save back a little bit of chicken poop over here just for my human manure. When I dump all my human manure into my compost that's for human manure, I always just, you know, like a little cherry on top, I just pop a little bit of poop on top of it. Then I put my straw down. I have used the same 4x4x4 composting for a year and a half. Now that's a lot of poop that's been put in a 4x4x4 over the last year and a half. And it's down about this much further down from the top right now. I would say it's composting quite well. Now the rule on human manure is you put everything in for a year, and then you move to another one, and you start it, and you let this stay. Okay? You want to reach temperatures anywhere between 20 to 130 degrees thermophilic. Okay? There's different microbes. I made me some notes. Okay? Different bacteria, different organisms love different temperature ranges. Okay? Well, if we're composting especially, and I like all my compost piles to get in there, but especially human manure, I want it to get up there about 120 and 130. The reason is at that point, I killed most every pathogen out there. E. coli, salmonella, all of it. You can go back and look at the book. He's got the chart at a certain temperature, how many minutes, not days, how many minutes it takes. So your compost is coming out sterile. Now, I do natural medicine. I do not take pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals aren't allowed in my house. Okay? So we don't do that. Now, if you have to take a lot of medications, I would suggest if you do human manure composting, that compost go on your ornamental flowers, you know, maybe your orchard, stuff like that. If you don't and your system is clean, after 2 years, there's no problem whatsoever putting your vegetable garden. Throw you some red wigglers in there every so often. Any compost pile. Okay? They help break everything down. You're setting up your system. Okay? You want all these different things to do their part. Those ones are going to break it down a little bit more, and then this little bug comes in and he breaks it up a little bit more, and then this bacteria comes over and she eats it a little bit further down. Okay? Now, I would probably say a lot of you guys garden to some extent, right? You're here, you want to let me correct this. It's been taught for years. Is that your plants need soil to grow. They do not. Okay? The aquaponics will teach that off the bat. They don't need soil. Okay? Plants do not grow off dirt. Plants grow from the microorganisms in the dirt. It's the microbes that keep us alive. Human existence itself is determined by 3 things. 6 inches of topsoil, rain falls from the sky, and the sun comes out. We lose any one of those 3 things, and human existence is gone. Okay? think it's 6 inches. That's all. That's what keeps us alive. 6 inches of soil. So we want to keep our microbes growing. If you've got a compost pile, you want to keep your microbes growing. Okay? Let's just say and we're in the fall time of the year. Oh man, we see all these bags of leaves, right? And we go to putting these leaves in, and we just put leaves. And you get back next spring, you know, and you go, oh, I'm gonna get some of that compost and dig in there, and it's the same dadgum leaves you put in the fall. You know why? No nitrogen. We gotta put some nitrogen. Also, how many of you have heard you need to turn your compost pile? Yes. Okay. I don't turn nothing. Okay. And when you have a farm and you're working all this stuff, after a while you're going to figure out, I'm going to do this the easy way. Okay. I got too many other things to do than out there with a pitchfork every 3 days. Okay? I don't know this one off the top of my head, so let me find it. You lose, he's got it in the book, and a lot of these notes are coming out of the book. You lose, every time you turn that compost pile, you lose nitrogen. Because what's nitrogen? In this air, there's more nitrogen than there is oxygen. It's a gas. And when you start producing that compost with that nitrogen there, the more you turn it, the more you lose that. Okay. I would suggest you do what you want. Okay, some people are all about turning. It'll compost quicker, right? If you turn it, I agree, it will. But you may end up with only half. I like the layering system. I go in, I put my carbon down, I lay a blanket of nitrogen. Okay? Now I don't mean I go down to local Ace Hardware and buy urea fertilizer. Because chemicals don't work on my place. I don't do that. Okay? I use chicken. You can find other green grass. Lots of nitrogen in green grass. Okay? Especially clovers, legumes. Put your layer down. If you put a layer of carbon this thick, I'd only put a layer of nitrogen material this thick. Because you're anywhere from 20 to 1, 40 to 1, right? Kind of just, you know, I'm looking at it going, okay, that's about where it is. And you'll find the different sources of things you use are going to have different nitrogen contents, different carbon contents. Just keep layering it, and layering it, and layering it, and then let it set. Start you another compost pile over here, and let it layer, layer, layer. Start you a little bit over here, and then by the time you get back around over to this one, all you got to do is just shovel it in the wheelbarrow and put it on the garden. It's done. Less work, less stress. Okay, nice compost. Okay. Be very careful when you make your compost, especially if you're kind of new to all this, that your neighbor says, I got grass clippings, you can come get them, come get them. You go, okay, great. You go get them, and you put them in your compost, and you put them in your garden, and your plants go. It's because they use chemicals on their lawn. They want that real pretty lawn, but what they did is you just transported over to your garden. So be very careful about where you get material from. Okay? I go to the Tulsa Greenway. How many go out there? Okay? I've heard people say, oh, don't do that. I've never had a problem with that. But, you know, I mean, I go get dump truck loads. Okay? I've got a pile probably taller than the eave of this barn, the length of this corral. It's just sitting there, cooking, getting ready. Here in a few weeks, it's been there for a year. I'll start taking that and side dressing all my elderberries. Okay? Now, there is something I'm really excited about that's coming along. hopefully it'll be here pretty quick, is I have a friend of mine that has actually got into a technology that they can take chicken litter. They'll take the chicken litter, the feathers, and the byproducts from the processing center, and within 48 hours they will have composted all of it down. They put it over into a cooker, we call it, which will steam it and get rid of any bacteria or anything. And then they turn around and they inject the biologicals back in and put it in pellets and put it in bags and stuff. And I can buy that cheaper per nitrogen content than I can buy commercial fertilizer. And it's all natural. And I'm calling him about every 2 weeks. Have we got that plant running yet? Okay? Because I said, the first couple of tons of that stuff is mine. Okay? I'm getting it. So I think, again, we're taking a resource that has affected our waters and streams, and we're turning it into a resource that is useful and non-toxic because it's gone through a compost. Okay? That's, you know, and that would be great if you got a bunch of leaves and throw some of those chicken. Okay? Plus, if they use the byproducts from the processing, you're going to get a lot of iron, stuff that comes out of the blood. Like, how many of y'all use blood meal in your garden? Yes. Big time, right? Makes a difference. Huge difference. Okay. One other thing I would suggest that you add in your garden and your compost pile is a product. You can go out and get it. It's an 85% and 90%. You'll find those two when you go look at it on the web. It's called humic acid. H-U-M-I-C acid. I'll show you something.
But you don't want anything to disrupt the roots. So a lot of times, if someone's planting carrots, that's where I always recommend to go. Go to China soil that we can get, and
like you said, if you've got nothing going on,
humic acid. It looks like, if you can see, looks like
right now I just have the one box.
I always see my carrots there.
It is prehistoric, decomposed organic matter. Okay? I've got two major purposes with it. They have found that it kills viruses and bacteria. Okay? So I got the flu. Well, you can take a little of this and I'll tell you about it later in the other class if you want. But you can put this in. I have pictures to show you. My sister, bless her heart, she did not get a green thumb, right? And she had a raised bed garden and it just wouldn't work. I said, let me do it. Just leave it to me, okay? And her garden was about as big as from where I'm at, the rest of this field. I went in and we put a lot of compost in it, mixed stuff in, a little bit of sand, you know. Then I went in and sprinkled humic acid on it and wet it in. What you've done by doing this is you just inoculated all of that ground with the microbes that it needs. They will come alive out of this one. Not only that, the plants will uptake the vitamins and minerals in the soil. It makes them easier for the plant to uptake and puts them in a form that when you eat that vegetable, you get more vitamins and minerals. But I'll show you pictures. I think it was middle of May. Okay, I was harvesting squash, which I think in Oklahoma, you better get a head start on your garden, and by about middle of June, you better be done and wait for the fall. It just gets too hot, too dry. Okay? Again, you know, other than I don't want to be out there getting it. It's too hot. I want to get my stuff done ahead of time. Okay? But I would say humic acid. Now, I'm going to touch on one other thing I told you about chemicals. Okay? Probably, in my opinion, one of the most harmful chemicals that we have that people consume the most of is anything in the family of the chlorines. Okay? Your water has either chlorine in it or chloramide now. Now, the difference between that is a few molecules off. Okay? Now chlorine, you used to cassette a bowl of water and the chlorine would gas out, it would leave. Okay? The chloramide will not do that, it will not gas out. It'll kill your goldfish. Usually you put goldfish in and it'd make it. Okay? So what is chlorine? What do most people use in their household? They even put it in their washing machine that's got chlorine in it. Bleach. What is it? What does it do? All this COVID deal. What's everybody wiping their counters down with? Bleach, right? Kills microbes, right? Well, the moment you hook that water hose up to that city hydrant and get out there and start watering your garden, tell me what you just did to all the microbes in your garden. You sanitized it. What did I tell you they grow on? The microbes in the soil. You just okay? So the other thing I would tell you to do is, that's why I'm in rainwater catchment. The last time I looked, okay, we don't have a lot of chlorine coming out of the clouds. Okay? Now, I know there's acid rain supposedly, but you know, I don't think it's that bad. I get a pure water. I get a sweet water. But you're going, Dewayne, I don't have the system yet. I would tell you there's a process or a product out there. It's a little filter about this big around, about this long, hooks onto your water hose. It's called Boogie Blue. And I think it'll filter like 35,000 gallons. And it takes the heavy metals, the chlorines, everything else out. You will see a remarkable difference. How many of you been in the summertime and we don't have any rain and you're out there just watering that garden, you know? Oh, man. Here you're going, it's just not growing. Right? Why is it not growing? You're killing its food source. If you water it with rainwater, same thing if you're using a Boogie Blue. So I would leave you those two things. If you're going to do gardening, whatever, humic acid and a Boogie Blue water filter if you're not using rainwater catchment. Okay? Now let's talk about how to catch rainwater. It's pretty easy. One of the easiest ways is dig a pond. Let nature do it. Okay? You've got water there. I've got about a 2-acre pond. I do a lot of irrigation out of it. I put it in the pond, pump it out. Okay? That's how I irrigate my elderberry. But you go, you know, I don't want to drink the water the fish pooped in. Okay? That's another reason that water is so good to irrigate with, is because the fish pooped in. That's an aquaponics operation you just had. Okay? But let's say you want to keep water for the house, you know, your wife doesn't really want to see the minnows swimming around in a glass of water. Okay? Even in my house, I have a filter system that I run. It's a ceramic core filter system. Okay? So, you're going to start catching water, let's say, off of a barn. You need a metal roof. Okay? I would strongly ask you not to catch water, consume it, or actually put it on your plants if it's coming off of a composition roof. Because you ever see that little skim, funny color at the top? Well, that's petroleum. And you're consuming that. Contaminants as it is. Okay? So, a good metal roof. Alright? The first line of defense. How many of y'all like cleaning your gutter? How many of you like cleaning your gutter? I got friends that own the feed store here in town. They were off at OYE showing pigs, and I told them I'd come and run the feed store while they were off showing pigs. And a lady comes in, she's in a neck brace. Okay? What happened to you? I fell out of the bucket of the tractor. What were you doing? Cleaning gutters. Okay? I don't like that. And if you start doing rainwater collection and you get all them leaves in your rainwater containment, they rot, They make a sludge, okay? They're just a pain. So the first thing I'm going to suggest you do, and these people don't sponsor me, okay? But I have found this is probably one of the best for the money and the quality. Is there cheaper? Yeah. But why buy it 2 or 3 years? You got to, okay? Get something that's going to last for a while. There's a company out there, Rain Harvesting. Okay, they're really good too, man. They'll help you walk through things. They'll tell you. But what this is, I think they call this. Yeah, this is their advanced leaf eater. Okay, this is your first frontline defense when you're starting to collect. It goes up on the gutters. Gutter pours down into it. Okay, I've decided. Some people cut their gutters flat. I cut mine at a 45 this way. When the water comes down, it kind of pushes it in it. But you'll see this is a stainless steel screen, okay? And the leaves, I got a lot of oak trees around me. The apron, other stuff. I also live on a dirt road, and I'm the next to last property, and my neighbors think once they leave the pavement, there is no speed limit. And I mean, it's pedal to the metal, and I know my neighbors are coming down the road because I see this cloud of dirt, okay? So a lot of it, you know, I live south of there, so the south wind prevails, it blows to me. I need to clean this off because that's all sludge that ends up in it. Okay? This will get the large particles. Now we got to figure out what to do with the small particles. That's where this system comes in. It's called a first flush system. And even if you're not going to use this for drinking, I would still suggest you do this. Because cleaning that muck out of them things all the time is not fun. Okay? What this system does is this is a 4-inch gutter system. Okay? Most people run in 3-inch, okay? And if you're residential, you know, one side of my shop is 40 by 60. Okay? That's a lot of surface area. So I'm pulling a lot of water off of there. Okay? And I can't just run it all into one little system. So that's why I'm going to get a bigger pipe. But water comes into this thing, just like this. There's a pipe that runs down here. A 3-inch pipe, 3 foot long, will hold 1.5 gallons of water. A 4-inch pipe, 3 foot long, will hold 2 gallons of water. And you want to flush or wash off the top of your shed to get all the contaminants that you can off. It goes down into this too. Now mine's hooked up on a 55-gallon drum because I'm pulling a lot of water off. I've got 2 of these on one side.
Usually, again, it depends on what you do. Now, when I started my thing, I do 12 on 12 off. I do 12 hours on 12 hours off.
That won't come out. Can y'all see this little ring inside here?
But I don't grow mine until
You got to look. Y'all remember the little yard molded things? That's what this looks like. This fits down in this pipe. And as this water comes in, it fills this pipe up first. When that pipe fills up, this little ball travels up. And when it travels up, it sits right against there. Okay? And that causes other water coming in to now flow over into your tank. It's called a first flush system. On the bottom of that system,
a lot of the time you would want to...
Let me lose that. This goes on the bottom, maybe the bottom of your pipe or whatever, and this is a weep line. The filter goes on it, sits down in it, and you've got these little washers that go in. It's called weep holes, and they're all the different sizes. Depends on how fast you want it to weep out. Because I'm running a 55-gallon drum, or you're running just a piece of pipe, and it's in the middle of winter time, and it rains, and at night it freezes, and you don't want that to freeze. You put these in, what it does is it slowly weeps out of this hole, so you don't have it frozen. You fix it up also so you can screw this off, and ever so often you're going to have to, this is the place that's catching that sludge, that dust that's in the air. The birds that sit in my own pooped on it, okay? And you can flush that right out. This is called a first flush system. Okay? The next thing you do is this pipe that comes out of the top here. Our water's now flowing this way. It's going to go over and into your tank. I would not pipe that directly into the tank. You can. Usually most of them have a little hole at the top. You can put a little strainer basket on. And what you want to do is put you a real fine stainless steel. Don't go cheap and get plastic window screen, okay? Because it just don't work very well. Get you some good stainless steel. That will catch contaminants. But what it also does is it keeps some mosquitoes getting in and laying eggs. Okay? So now you've brought all of this in and you have into your tank. I've got like 1,500 and 2,000 gallon tanks. Okay? Now, let's talk about what you need. Okay. I missed one I didn't talk about. Anybody know what cupola culture? Okay. Swells. That's another way to catch water. Okay. Terracing did the same thing. Divert water, catch water, slow water down. It's just the effective usefulness of water. You can use systems like rock bars. If you got a road going down to divert that water off, bring it out and let it gently soak into the ground. Okay? All we're doing, guys, is we're just trying to be good stewards. Okay? Use the resources that the Creator's given us to our best ability. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you some little formulas here to do this. You take, when you go home, you want to know, okay, how am I going to do this? How many inches of rain we get the other day? Probably about 3 or 4, depends on where you're at, total over the last week. Let's see how much water you took home. You go home and you measure. Okay? I don't worry about the angle and all that. I'm just going to measure the angle, the footage of it. You take that times 12. That gives you the square feet. Take that number times 144. That's inches, square inches. Okay? 1 inch of rainfall, okay, hitting that roof will give you that many cubic inches. Alright, for example, 60 by 60 is 3,600. Times 144 is 5,118. Okay? That's 1 inch. You divide that, here's a key number, 231. That's the amount of cubic inches, square inches, of water in a gallon, okay? That 1 inch of rain itself will give you about 1,500 gallons. 1 inch of rain, okay? We use at the house, washing, bathing, some for animals maybe, cleaning everything up. We use less than 500 gallons of water a week. Go back and look at your water bill and see how much you use. We use less than 500. With the roof, just one of the roofs that I'm catching on right now, okay, will give me 88,000 gallons in a year if I caught every inch of rain. Oklahoma gets on the average where we're at right now about 40 inches of rain a year. I don't think I can afford enough tanks to catch all. But you do need to catch enough if you're living on it to be able to carry over into dry months to be able to go on. Okay? So, people say, you can't do it. You can't catch water. You can't catch enough. Do the math. I'm also telling you, I live it. You can do it. On an RV, right?
On our RV cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. First rain we got 1,400 gallons.
Yeah, and you're talking about that's not a huge amount of square inches. Okay? It can be done. Alright? Guys, I don't know what time it is. I think we're about done. Anybody got questions? You learned something? Great. Alright. I'll be back over here at 1 o'clock. Herbs and stuff.